it was a test. But again, this was a tough one because divorce affects your identity. You begin asking yourself different questions like, did I fail? Could I have done more? And what happens next? There are also emotional realities people don't often talk about. The grief, not only the relationship, but the future that you had envisioned, especially when there are kids involved.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Scenes of Heartnergy. I still remain your host, Mistura, and today we're exploring a journey that many people experience, but very few people talk about openly. I'm delighted to welcome Elias Durosinmi, an entrepreneur, relationship advocate, and founder of a matchmaking platform dedicated to helping people build meaningful relationships. But beyond his work, Elias has lived through one of life's most, will I say, difficult transition. He has experienced
Yeah.
divorce, navigated the emotional journey of rebuilding his life, and found love again. So today he brings both lived experience and professional insights to a conversation about healing, identity, second chances, and the reality of starting over. We'll also explore some of the biggest misconceptions about divorce, why many people assume it's easier for men to move on, and what single parents can do to position themselves for healthy relationships. Stay tuned to actually get the response from my previous speaker. Remember, there was a question, and he is in the position to give us insight about this. So, this is not just a conversation about marriage or divorce, it's about resilience, growth, forgiveness, and having the courage to believe that life can begin again. Thank you very much, Elias, for coming on this episode. It's actually a privilege to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me as well. It's great seeing you again. I guess it's been years we last saw.
Yes, it's been years. To start, for people meeting you for the first time, you can tell us a little about yourself, your love for
Okay.
tech, because I think that's how I've always known you, the techie guy. Even the nickname I know is Nerdy Muslim, like the
Yeah.
nerd, the tech guy. Around, I know you do things around mentorship and what actually inspired you to build a matchmaking platform.
Thank you. So I guess I'll try to introduce myself in three ways based on the questions you put out. I'm a technology professional, an educator, and what I tell people, one of my greatest passion is matchmaking. Professionally, I have spent over 2 decades working across software engineering, data science, artificial intelligence, and even moved into talent management in through the journey of path of my career. Uh, right now, I currently lead and mentor people in technology while helping organizations make better decisions with the data that they have. Outside of work, some people know me as Nedi Muslim rather. But over the years, I think I've built an online community of hundreds of thousands of Muslims where we discuss faith, career, professional growth, and relationships. Mentorship has always been close to my heart because I believe success is not just about climbing the ladder yourself, but helping others climb it too as well. I have had that ladder handed over to me, and I believe that one of the greatest impact you could have on others is guiding them and helping them through the journey of life itself, whether it's mentoring young people into tech or guiding professionals into their career. I think I've always found fulfillment in seeing people become the best versions of themselves. And you also mentioned the matchmaking platform as well. So I asked, one of the things I've always asked myself is, how can I help technology? How can I use the knowledge I have, technology, to help drive what started out over 10 years ago? The whole matchmaking thing started 10 years back. And it was more of people reaching out to me on the Instagram page. Oh, you have this page. Ned Muslim, is it possible to help me match to get someone who would I could love and all that? And I saw that there was that recurring feedback from a lot of people. That drove me to for me, drove me into open up a matchmaking platform. And of course, one of my greatest love outside of matchmaking is the use of technology. So I had to use technology to help connect two individuals who have never met themselves, who from in some cases from different far ends of the world, and bring them together. And that's what drove about introducing Nedi Connect. So I guess that handles it. That answers your question rather. Today, one of the greatest joy I find, like I said, is seeing the marriages I've helped facilitate grow into families. Is one of the things that bring the biggest joy to me when you know that you helped Mr. A and Miss B together and you've seen this blossom into two, three kids. And alhamdulillah, I've been doing this for the past 10 years. Never had to charge for it because I believe the true reward lies with Allah. And so that's much about it. So over to you.
Yeah, so I think I see the whole Nedi Connect bringing in my first two questions, like my first, in terms of your introduction, the tech lover and the mentor, bringing it together, now bring, okay, yeah, Nedi Connect, but now not just about the tech industry, not just the career industry, it's in ways where we're going to expand family circles and make people actually meet themselves. Yeah, it's actually good to know. So I know there'll be lots of irony looking at the fact that, okay, yes, you are the one bringing people together and you were still tested with big face, which is divorce. So, and I believe
Yeah.
it's one of life's biggest transition because obviously nobody gets into marriage and looks forward to getting divorced. So now that it has happened, so looking back, what was the most difficult part? Not legally, but just personally.
Well, I think the hardest part rather wasn't even the day of the divorce itself. Trust me, by the way, that was one of the toughest days of my life, and or even months, if I must say, because it was that same month I also lost my dad, and it was also that same month I lost my first marriage as well. And
So,
for people who know, I loved my dad a lot. It was one of the greatest inspirations to me. And however, what was more devastating was adjusting to a life that looked completely, how would I put it, different from the one that I had imagined, that I've planned for myself. Because this was me who has helped over, I think I stopped counting numbers of marriages I've helped at 50 plus. And to the best of my knowledge, as at that time, because one of the things I do then was I do follow up a lot with a lot of those people that I could follow up with. And I've helped a lot of those marriages. Even some of them will reach out to me. Oh, Mr. He is behaving somehow, or Mrs. B can I help talk to them? And this was me doing all that. And for me to have been tested with such. But again, Allah's promised that He's going to test us with the things we love the most. It was a test. But again, this was a tough one because divorce affects your identity. You begin asking yourself different questions like, did I fail? Could I have done more? And what happens next? There are also emotional realities people don't often talk about. The grief, not only the relationship, but the future that you had envisioned, especially when there are kids involved. And this was a tough one for me. It was going through the stage, knowing quite well that I've brought kids into this world that would have different families. Those were things that I never in the widest imagination would have thought I would be going through. But then, alhamdulillah, looking back now, I don't see that period only as a painful chapter, but I also see it as one of those seasons where it has also helped me experience more of my personal growth as well. Because again, you have to step back and start asking yourself those questions of what did I do wrong and how
Mm.
can I make sure that I grow from that. I think
Yeah.
that's for that to have happened, it has helped me in my own journey as well to grow as an individual.
Yeah. I think that's actually very important because for every phase of one's life, one needs to reflect, see how you
Yeah.
can be better than who you were before. And that actually shows that you are observant, you are taking note of what's going on, and not even for something quite big as divorce. Okay, now I know we have this popular conception, like a lot of people think it's easier for men to move on after divorce. And now looking at the fact that you are even remarried, a lot of people would think, oh yeah, we actually said it and the likes like that. So from your own experience, maybe and personally, and if you have any, maybe from your matchmaking, if there's been anyone in that situation also, like how true do you think that is from your own perspective?
Well, honestly, I don't think healing is easier simply because someone is a man. I do not agree to that. What I do think, however, is that men are often, again, humans are different. However, I do believe that men often heal differently. The way we heal might be different from the way the women heal. It doesn't mean that we move one party moves on easily or easier. I would say society sometimes teaches women to stay strong, stay busy, rather than for us to become emotionally healthy. It's always a case of, oh, you can go back to work, you can put up the smile, you can appear successful, probably because of the responsibilities that are attached to being a man. But internally, there may still be unresolved pain. I give you a story of a friend. This friend was from a well-to-do family and was going out with, while he was in school, university days, he was going out with a lady, only for the lady, after some years of a relationship, the lady says, oh, Mr. Man, I think I'm done with this relationship and I want to move on with my life. I've found someone else. And this is a friend who was a man who could not withstand the withstand that news on that story, that news. So it really affected him that up to this very moment is still in the psych world. And and I'm sure you've heard where people will say men move on easily, but it's not always the case. And yet I'm sure you will have also we might have seen where situations where some men would move on so easily like that, and that's it. So like I said, I do not believe that it is attached to the someone as being a man, but more about the individuals themselves. Everyone heal differently. I remember when I lost my dad then, a lot of people felt that my mom was going to crash and all that, but she's strong. I never for once saw her cry. Maybe she went into the room crying, but it doesn't mean that she never loved my dad.
Yeah.
But again, everybody on heal differently. And it's just for you to understand how best you heal and how best and hopefully maybe that would drive how you would get past that hurt. Life it's all about it's always an up and down thing. There would always be some other thing that would hurt us and we can't just allow something happening to determine our future. So I learned that for me, I learned that moving on isn't just about finding another relationship quickly, because that's also one of the major things. For some people, they will, oh, this person left me. Let me quickly find someone else just to fill the gap. And they get into that relationship and they affect the new marriage because they still have a lot of baggage from the previous marriage
Mhm.
that they've not fully put off their head.
Yeah.
And it's always a battle for them. So for me, like I said, it's one of the things that I learned that moving on. And it's also about reaching a place where your peace no longer depends on your past. So though that's one thing for me that I had to do. It wasn't an easy one. However, the one thing I also learned is that there is a difference between moving on and merely moving away. It was a tough one. But then alhamdulillah, again, it was Like I said earlier, it was something of a personal growth for me. The fact that it happened helped me opened me up to self-reflection and for me to also grow as well.
Mm. I like what you said. You said moving on is quite different from moving away. That was really, really deep because to think about it, a lot of people just move away
Yeah.
and you just feel, okay, yeah, but we don't actually move on from things that have actually happened to us. And that's the same way you still have those baggages, and the next thing
Yeah.
you just dump everything on the next opportunity you get, and you just keep asking yourself why.
Yes, I see that a lot, especially for my matchmaking. Most times when people reach out to me and I see that, oh, this person just got divorced 2 months ago, and I ask them several questions just to see if they have really moved on. And you see that some of them still come with that baggage from the previous marriages.
Yeah.
And you see them saying things like, hey, is this, hey, is that? The man, you would still see so much hurt from the past. And it is clear that these people are just trying to move away,
Yeah.
and from where they were. And the goal might even be that, oh, let me just find someone else so that I'm going to pepper this person and let him say that, yes, I've gotten a fine man, finer than him,
Yeah,
richer
then
or maybe it could be the other way around as
the other
well,
way around. Yeah.
yeah. So I think I always try to advise people against such. But again, I believe that everybody who comes to me saying that they want to get married are adults, and I can only advise and I can only try and paint a picture to them. It's not for me to tell them that you must do A or you must do B.
Yeah.
Some will take the advice and some will say, okay, yeah, they've healed, even though you can see clearly that there's still a lot of baggage from the previous marriages. So, hello, hello.
So now, yeah, still touching about healing, like you you've touched on some things, but I think we might be doing someone watching this a favor. If you can just, I know, yes, it's a personal journey, you understand, but sometimes there are some tips. Okay, it's just, I don't know. I like to sometimes compare things to the way a woman cannot describe to another woman how neighbor actually is. But sometimes there are
Yeah,
some tips she can actually share to help the
yeah, that's it.
person
Make the
because
journey
it's a
easy. Yes.
personal journey for everybody. So is there something you did or before finding, yeah, you talked about reflection and healing before finding love again. Let's even leave finding love again aside, just for your own
Yeah.
personal development, just for you knowing that, okay, yes, you've actually moved on, you've healed, because it's not only the next relationship that actually at the receiving end of these things. Sometimes the children they live in within this relationship, even friends, family, gets this back lash from everything this person has gone through. So what's work? Can you just give some tips of what you did? Maybe, I don't know, I don't want to give tips, maybe like therapy or something, or you just had to handle it yourself or so.
What worked? I would say what's working, or rather, it's still a continuous journey for me. But because one of the things I tell people is it has taken me over 40 years to become who I am right now. I'm not sure I'm just going to change it over within just 2 years or 3 years. It's a continuous journey for me, continuous improvements. And so it's still a continuous thing for me. I'm not perfect yet. I don't think anyone human can be perfect. I think for me, one of the things I've had to become is I've had to become very honest with myself because that's one of the most important things. So, as humans, we need to always ask ourselves that hard question. What are those things that you feel you didn't do right in the previous marriage? And also, it was also some fact finding as well, asking my ex-wife about, oh, what did I do wrong? And it was also for a good way for me to go and do a reflection on that. Asking myself those difficult questions help a whole lot. I think one of the things I see from a lot of people who have divorced is kind of live in denial. It's always, in most cases, always, oh, me, I'm not at fault. It's the other person that I was at fault. I believe that it takes two to tango. And sometimes it's very important for you to understand that, yes, have my own baggage, adds my own faults, and this in the other individual too. Yes, had is our own fault as well. So I think having to ask myself those difficult questions helped me a lot. I think also what asking myself what habits do I need to change as well also helped, and how do I communicate? One of the major issues in most that I see in a lot of marriages is the way we communicate, how we communicate, what we say, and when we say things do matter a lot. They can make or mar a marriage.
Mhm.
And you would find that in every marriages, that's one of the major things, if not the only thing. Even if it's finance, it's how you communicate that finance.
Mhm.
Even if it's issues around relation, any other thing, it's pretty much how you communicate. So communication was one of those things. Again, this was me reflecting and also asking the ex-wife as to, oh, these were some of the things, taking notes of them, and hoping that I can change some of those things. Also, I want to believe that asking myself the question of what expectations are realistic. Most times we go into marriage with these high expectations of what we expect from marriages. Oh, my wife should be A, B, C, D, E, and not knowing that, yes, this individual you're marrying is also human as well. And
Mhm.
yeah, so those being realistic of our expectations are super important. And also asking myself, where did I contribute to some of those problems? I think those major questions helped me shape and is helping me even in my current marriage right now. And I would also say that the fact during those period, it also strengthened my relationship with Allah, because there is emotional healing without spiritual healing. It kind of feels incomplete, to me. And I think my, closeness to Allah during those period of time helped me. And I had some great friends as well who helped. You would add friends who would say, "Oh, Elias, I'm coming to sleep over," especially when the day it happened. Yeah, you can't stay alone. Alhamdulillah, I think I've always had good best of friends who, even before the whole divorce, they tried to mediate in the whole thing. But Allah said this was how it was going to be. Those friends stood by me. Some of them stayed over there. Some would come over the weekends. So having those friends around to also help. And so I think for me that was more. I think that's the only little I can remember for now. Yeah, I think that's the little I can remember for now.
Yeah, I think they're actually very key points because sincerely, the first point you mentioned that has to do with honesty. If a bunch of us can actually be truly honest with ourselves, we would actually be in a better position. Sometimes we get to know this, so that we just shove it off and we're like, no, this. And I think I like the fact that would I say courage, because sometimes when you see divorce, the first thing that comes to people's mind is like a break in communication between both parties and all. So you mentioning that you had to ask your ex-wife
Yes.
questions about yourself. That really shows that beyond this point, I really want to be a better person. I really want to move on. Okay, yes, if it cannot happen with you, then I think if I'm going to move on to the next phase, I do not want
Yeah.
to repeat these things I have done. And I think that actually stood out for me. See, communication. Oh wow. It is it's a
It,
conversation who needs support.
Honestly, it's a course that even if you do up to PhD, you are still learning.
You're still learning. Yes, you're still learning. So now looking at all of these phases you went through, like what points did you actually get to? And you were like, okay, maybe I want to give love a try again. Maybe I want to do this again. Because for some people, it's just like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. So what point did you get to?
Well, for me, I've always been big on marriage. I'm not the type who feels probably because of past experience that should determine what my future should look like. I don't also allow it to shape my who I become or who I'm the journey of what I'm building for myself. So, to answer you, I don't think there was one dramatic movie moment. It was more of like a realization from my hand. I wasn't looking for someone to fix loneliness per se. Yes, I was alone in the old house. Sometimes my kids were with me, especially for the first 1+ years. My kids were with me. And I think also that helped a lot. And the me, I kept asking myself, a lot of my friends were saying, man, you're trying. How are you coping managing the kids alone and all that? It was a tough time. But yes, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't looking for someone to feel that loneliness, someone to just come and help manage my kids or, help tend to my kids. That wasn't the goal. And it wasn't me trying to replace what I lost, because that's one of the things I noticed a lot of people do. They always try and look for, maybe they were so invested in the previous marriage. So they're always trying to look for someone to replace exactly, like maybe in the case of a man would be looking for someone who looks exactly like how the wife is, and even possible have the same profession or speaks like the wife. So for me, that wasn't the goal. It wasn't trying to replace what I lost. I just simply felt ready to build on something new. And I don't know. I don't think there was any specific aha moment for me. It was just a case of, I would say when you can genuinely celebrate your future without being controlled by your past. And I think at that moment in time, you know that you're ready. When you know that I am looking for someone and it won't be driven by, oh, because I had this ABC kind of experience in the past,
Mhm.
then that would drive what the new future should look like. So I didn't
Yeah.
allow, at the point in time where I didn't allow that to be a determining factor, that for me, I felt I was ready. And I just to tell you a story. I remember when I reached out, when I was looking out to remarry, and one of the major challenges I had from parents of some of the women I met along that journey. And trust me, I met a lot of people. I went as far as Kaduna for marriage, looking for love, because a lot of people from the Southwest were not open to people who are divorced.
Yeah.
And so I had to go all the way to the north. And a lot of the feedbacks then was like, how are you sure you are ready? This and that. So trust me, this question was something that resonates with me, and it reminds me of those experiences from them as well.
Yes. It's quite an emotional one. So you've experienced marriage twice. This makes me remember that there's this funny Indian series we used to watch those days, Married Again. So
Yeah,
as you
yeah,
were talking, just made me remember that title. And this question actually brings it back. So I've been experienced marriage here twice, divorce. Like,
yeah,
yeah, okay, married, divorced, then you remarried.
yeah,
Now,
yeah,
also in the position to help people. So I know you talked about communication. What do you
yeah.
think people actually misunderstand most about LD relationships?
Hmm. Well, I think people believe compatibility means finding someone like themselves.
Hmm.
There's this term in physics where what we say, like poles repel. For me, I believe that it's the most important thing is looking for someone who would complete you. You don't have to look
Mhm.
for someone exactly like yourself.
Like you.
This question I see a lot of people ask, and I think it's a common question also on Reddit a lot, where you ask people, would you marry yourself? And you will see that a lot of people will say no.
No.
So, for example, if I'm the type who easily gets angry, nobody would want to marry an angry person. You need
Mhm.
to look for someone who will complement that, who be the understanding type, that when you are angry, the person would try to cool you down. It shouldn't be two angry birds. When you two angry birds at each other, you know what happens. So yeah, that shouldn't be the case. So for me, healthy relationships are built on shared values more
Mhm.
than shared. It's not a case of, oh, we both go to the gym. I've seen a lot of times, and I've seen a lot of good marriages where the guy goes to this gym, is well packed and all that, but the wife is doesn't go to the gym and they have good relationship.
Mm.
I see a lot of people these days, oh, I go to gym, I want someone that goes to the gym, blah, blah, blah.
Gym sister.
Yes. Yeah, in some instances it could work for them, but I
Yeah.
think it's more around, it should be more around a healthy relationship
Mm.
rather than shared hobbies, like I said. I think another misconception is that love alone is enough.
Hmm.
I am yet to get someone to help me define what exactly love is.
Love.
Most times people just believe that love is that feeling, there's that butterfly in the stomach. And until the day they eat one effort that is very pepperish and destroys all the butterflies in their stomach. And they get, they tend to they face the reality of what life would look like. So most people do not really know, can really specifically define what love is. And you'll be surprised when you ask a lot of people who are about getting married, define this love that you're looking out for. You just say, I just want love. When I see it, I know it.
I will.
But they can't define, they can't put words to it, they can't explain it.
Mm-mm.
They're
Mm-mm.
saying love is important, but you need to understand what that looks like for you. And I
Yeah.
think this differs from people, you know. So outside of communication, emotional maturity, how conflict would always happen in marriages and how you both parties would resolve those conflicts. So conflict resolution is very important. Patience and shared purpose for me are what would build and sustain a marriage. Again,
Mm.
communication, emotional maturity, conflict resolution, and patience and shared purpose are like the major things that will sustain any marriage.
Mm.
Um, over time, I've also learned through matchmaking that many people spend years creating like a checklist for a spouse, but very little time becoming the spouse they are looking for.
Mm.
Sometimes you would, again, this is not what I'm about to say is not me condemning anyone, but sometimes you have some of the sisters will reach out. Oh, I want a very religious brother and all that. However, some of the sisters are still on the journey on growing themselves. Some of them do not even use the hijab. And when you say you want someone who is very religious, and they come to you and say, "Oh, I want someone who uses the kamar, I use someone who uses a long hijab," then it becomes an issue for some of them. So, if truly this is the checklist that you're looking out for, then you should ask yourself, have I become am I building myself to become that kind of spouse as well? So those things I believe are very important.
Mm. Do you tick your own boxes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if people actually develop or rather put in more effort into personal development, you actually become a better version for yourself. I think this
Yeah.
is one thing I belong to a community where it's more about growth for women. I've seen a lot of people come into this community thinking it's all about the man. And at the end of
Mm.
the day, they get this message, it's all about you. When
Yep.
you are a better person for yourself,
Yeah.
the next person sees that in you and knows that you are actually a better person. And
Yeah.
sometimes maybe some things have been happening with respect to how you have actually been reacting towards some things. But when you actually become better, then the reaction can actually change or differ or something. But like I said, relationship is a you just said before, like PhD, and you still continue learning. So I don't want to even go
Minutes.
into that.
Yeah,
Okay,
and to
now.
paint a picture on that, one of the things I do on my platform is before anybody can submit their application for a match, I have this about me. I mean, the person who is filling a form
Okay.
where they have to fill at least 150 characters or words rather. And you see that a lot of people struggle with that.
Hmm.
And it's for me, it only tells you that these people do not really understand themselves. Because before
Yeah.
you take it up upon yourself, I want to get married, it is important to first understand yourself. If, for example, I know that I'm this individual who gets very jealous, who is very angry, and all that, then you know this will guide you as to the kind of individual you should be looking for. So if you do not know yourself first, are you sure that on this journey to looking for someone else, it's not just a thing of, yes, I'm looking for a Muslim, you should pray. Yes, those are the compulsory things. Those are things that are a must have for you. Outside of that, if you do not know anything about yourself, then I'm not sure you're ready for marriage.
Hmm. Yeah, I hope lots of single women searching and the likes get to watch this because this is actually power packed. So, my last guest, Engineer Chikeze Onsu, actually dropped a question for you.
Okay.
And he said this is a question that a lot of people have asked him and he has not been able to answer. He actually shared a very beautiful journey of he and his wife,
Mm.
how he has been able to manage he and his wife relationship, how they started from the wife being even the support system, which is opposite of what's currently happening in the world today. And she just believed in him. And maybe because of that journey, people have always asked him questions that so now he's putting the question to you that why do you think why? And I thought as a matchmaker,
Yeah.
you should maybe have an answer to this because it's more like this. Why do many single parents, either male or female, struggle to find partners, even when they have so much to offer? And what do you think they can do to curb this or to
Okay,
be in a
I think
better position?
I would pretty much just share a story, my own story. Before remarrying, because I have two kids with my ex-wife, and a male and a female, and like I said, it was a struggle for me, and this was me who also matched people for love. It was also a struggle for me to help myself find love due to several valid reasons. Like I said, I went all the way to Kaduna. I took a flight to Abuja, took a train to Kaduna from Abuja, and it was 3 days after that my trip that there was a bomb blast on that same train rack. And I was like, interesting. There are crazy things we do for love all the way just so we can remarry. But those are some of those realities that come from as a single parent and trying the struggles that we experience, to find that partner. It's, I think, one of the major issues that I have seen that why a lot of people are not open to that idea is, and this I see it a lot even from the female side, probably because for a lot of the women, they want someone who they can build from scratch. A lot of these people have never had that experience of what marriage should look like. So they do not want to just jump into marriage with with a person with kids because this is something they are hoping to going into and to learn the ropes along the line. But for me to now jump with kids, it can be a tough one for them. And I think
Mhm.
that's why a lot of people say, oh, I'm not sure I want to go into something like that. And again, this is based on my own research because, again, one of the things I love to do when I'm matching people, I love to ask questions. I do free consultations. They do not pay me for that as well, just so I understand why some people ask several things on their profile. Another thing I also discovered was that for some of especially from the brother side, the brothers are not open to sisters with kids, probably because of the burden that might come from it, financial burden in some
Mhm.
instances. Yeah, yes, yeah, we know Islamically is not compulsory for you as a man, to pay for anything from the previous marriage. Of course, hopefully there is the man from the other side who is responsible and who is still paying for that. But in some instances, we've seen where some of those brothers would refuse to pay or even give a stipend towards their ex-wife. And as such, the brother who wants to get into we all understand some of the realities of life right now. Things are tough, especially here in Nigeria. And people want to be careful because you, as a man, you can't have a new child with a woman and you're
Mhm.
sending that new child to one of the best schools, and you now let the other child go to maybe Fengbole primary school or some other things like that. It's even though it's not, like I said, it's not compulsory for you to do, but as humans, we won't allow even our mind, even the woman himself will feel somehow,
Mhm.
that does this guy even love me? You allow you go, you have one of your child go to, and you allow this. Is it because it's not your son? Blah blah blah. Those things may arise, and I think that's one of the reasons why people have been skeptical around single parents. And for some, it's just the fact that some of them still have their baggages. Some of them have
Mhm.
not fully healed from the previous marriages, and they do not want the complications that come with that. In some instances, it could also be that the marriages ended with in a crazy way, in a brutal way, and they do not want the drama that comes with it. Where the husband or the wife, as whatever the case might be, is pretty much battling around. Oh, I should have the kids today. It's always a battle, and when those challenges are still there, it's surely going to affect the new marriage, because this is you who have just gotten married to a man or a woman, and you want to enjoy your marriage. But there's the previous marriage that's still interfering with this, with new reality. And a lot of people are not, because it's harder alone to be a Nigerian with the whole struggle, with the whole economy thing. And you want a peace of mind, and only for you to be having that. To battle your peace with some other things from the previous marriages. So for me, that's like the major reasons why you see that a lot of single parents struggle to find partners. That's pretty much a lot, but I think those, but again, I think ironically, many single parents are Actually, for me, based on my own understanding, I believe that many single parents are actually better prepared for a healthy relationship. I mean, marriages, because they've learned difficult lessons,
Mhm.
and they become more patient, and they know what truly matters.
Yeah.
That's based on my own findings. But like I said, I think the emotional baggages from the previous marriages, the children, some people are not caught up for children yet. They just want to get married. 2 years, they want to enjoy their wife prior to children coming. So they just do not want to jump into a marriage with children. So I think those are some of the major challenges. But again, my advice is to people considering a single parent is simple. Don't judge someone's future based solely on their past. I give a reason. Like I said, I went to different places there. I went to Ibadan to meet a potential spouse. And one of the questions the lady kept asking me is, okay, they asked me, okay, what happened? And I told them what happened from the previous man, because again, that's one of the questions you should be ready for, because a lot of people want to know what happened in the marriage.
Yeah.
Were you physically abusive? And I was like, no. And I told the person what actually transpired in the previous marriage. And the mom was like, really? Only this thing? And I was like, yes. I was like, more saying, I don't believe you. Maybe there was more other things and all
But
that,
you're not
and
saying.
yeah, that I wasn't saying and all that. And I even gave them the phone number of my ex-wife and one of the family members from their own side. And I still got that feedback of, these people are nice. One of us song what we share. They are even covering up from this guy. So a lot of people judge the past.
It's more like
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
there. So everybody sees it as
yeah.
once you are a single parent, once you are
Hmm.
not together, then you obviously have done something wrong.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You must have been a bad guy or a bad
Yeah.
lady. That's why you are not in a marriage. And I think they've forgotten that some of our Sahabas, were divorced. And even some of our popular scholars in this present world are also divorced as well. Allah tests people differently. And part of marriage is one of the things Allah promised He would test us with wealth, with family, with love, with pretty much everything. But I think I would just state this for people who are considering single parents. Don't judge someone's future based solely on their past. Have a conversation with them so that you do not judge their character. Having that conversation exposes a lot of things. That person truly healed? Are they ready to move on with the next stage? Just because Mr. A and Miss B, or Miss B did not work out. It might just be a compatibility issue. That's Miss B that is not fit for Mr. A could be fit for Mr. C.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that they are bad people. But however, the fact that you're open to having a conversation with them would help cement what that would look like.
Yeah. Oh, this is not the point where I say thank you, but I think I really have to say thank you for being so open because I think should I say this? One major issue, one challenge I'm kind of having with this series is I fear I would have difficulties getting people who really want to share what that behind the scene is because even in movies, we don't get to see them
Yeah.
because we believe that part is imperfect and we want people to see only the perfect one, especially now in this social media world where everybody is seeing the good ones and everything. So I really, really appreciate your sincerity, your share, because that's practically what this platform is about. Let people see what's transpired, let them learn from it. Obviously, it's not like someone is planning to get divorced or anything, but you can actually know someone who is maybe on the verge of getting divorced or even is
Yeah.
divorced. Or funny enough, for me, divorce and marriage actually comes together. Like when prior to my getting married, I used to think of what divorce can be like if it happens. Because
Mm.
nobody plans for the negative, plans for it, but we just need to look at it that it's a reality that is happening and
Yep.
would happen to anybody. I would like you to drop a question for the next person, particularly not about, it doesn't have to be about marriage,
Okay.
just a question that you feel would be useful to someone or something. Okay, when I started this whole question thing, I had someone ask about, what was this thing? Imposter syndrome. Yeah. So you
Oh,
could just
okay.
drop a question for the next speaker. Yeah.
Okay. I think one of the things that have always worried me is we've been seeing a trend where like our traditional values seems to be clashing with social media driven expectations among our Nigerian youth. And when you look at the increasing divorce rates, like almost every week I get this feedback, oh, this person, they're no more together and all that. It saddens me a lot. So the question I would love to ask is, do we think our generation, or to the person, do you think our generation is losing the capacity for that intentional struggle that marriage requires? I think that's the question I would love to drop, please.
That's
Because
a big one.
I believe that struggle should be part of every aspect of life. However, I've been seeing a lot of our youths and are willing to struggle through a lot of things.
Hmm.
So I think would be a good question to drop. There's been increasing divorce rate, a lot of moral decadence here and there. Do you think our generation is losing the capacity, the Gen Z, the Gen Alphas and the like, are they losing the capacity for that intentional struggle that marriage is the life and every other thing requires?
Thank you. Thank you for that. Maybe just a last reflection. So if you could speak to the version of yourself immediately after your divorce, what would you say?
I would tell him be more understanding. We need to make sacrifice. I think that's very important. I guess that was one of my major issues, and for me, it was be more understanding and be willing to make sacrifice. Super important, and that's what I would tell myself. Continue becoming the man Allah wants you to be. One day you would look back, realize that what felt like an ending was actually preparing you for something better. Because yes, we might see the divorce as a big thing in life, something that probably should that maybe affects people emotionally, physically, and all that. But I also believe that it's something that helps you realize that what felt like an ending was actually preparing for something better. And I will remind myself of something I now tell many people through matchmaking as well. Never lose hope. Your past explains you. It doesn't define you.
Mm. Wow, that's ending on a nice note. Never lose hope. Your past doesn't define you. I think that was how you put it.
Yes, it
Yeah,
doesn't
so
define you. Only
yeah,
it only explains you.
it only explains you. Wow, that's lots of nuggets in this episode. I think I myself will have to watch it again, despite the fact that I had this interview with you. Thank you very much, Les, for sharing. Thank you for being so open, for just thank you. I think I did my appreciation initially, but now
Yeah.
it's more here. We just have to come to an end and all of it. So thank you very much for what you do for humanity, obviously, for what you do, yeah, in terms of mentorship, the tech world. And yeah, I think particularly it's so nice to see a man really talk about personal development when it comes to marriage, when it
Yeah.
comes to different phases in life, because I would not lie. See, whenever we get to celebrate this men's, I think it's International Men's Day, and everybody's,
Yes.
this is the only time they say men should do this, men should do that, and all. And it's just, yeah, it's a whole lot because the men are always told to stay strong. You are the
Yeah.
man and everything, and nobody actually sees what happens back end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
right.
you. Yeah. So everyone
Wow.
watching this, be sure to share with anyone who you know would make great use of this. Even everybody should watch this, I think, not just anyone who would make it. It is actually very useful to everybody. Do not forget to subscribe, turn on your notification. And
Yeah.
look out for the next episode because you don't know who is going to be answering this question. I guess a lot of people want to know the answer to the question. So thank you very much and bye for now. Ciao.
Thank you.